We have the privilege of having 3 secretaries to the Government of India and 1 Director General of the RIS who was chairing the session just now, with Dr. V.K. Saraswat, the member of Science and Technology in the NITI Aayog, to get together on stage for the valedictory session. It's a privilege for NITI Aayog, it's a privilege for all of us to have them together on the same podium. I will request all of them to kindly occupy the stage now. Dr. V.K. Saraswat, member esteemed NITI Aayog. Dr. A.K. Mohanty, Secretary, Department of Atomic Energy. Dr. Abhay Karandikar, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology. Dr. Rajiv, Bahl, Secretary, Department of Health Research. Dr. Sachin, Chaturvedi, Director General of RIS. Thank you so much.
First, I invite Dr. Sachin Chaturvedi, Director General, Research and Information System for Developing Countries, to share his closing remarks for the valedictory.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Let me at the outset congratulate NITI Aayog for envisaging this very important platform for all of us to interact. I think it's a great initiative which would take our science technology frontier very fast forward. The issue is, as I said in the previous session, at 4 levels, and I was trying to explain that in the previous session. First and foremost, as Prime Minister in his address at Indian Science Congress in 2018, he said scientific social responsibility. So when we talk about scientific social responsibility, we have 2 dimensions of it. One, the scientists contributing to expansion of the knowledge frontier, but the second is penetration of that frontier to the people of the nation. And this is something which is related to our idea of STI for SDGs, Science, Technology, Innovation for Sustainable Development Goals. For last 4 presidencies of G20, I have been personally writing policy briefs for T20, Think 20 as to how STI for SDG is connected. I'm so glad that the previous PSA, Vijay Raghavan, appreciated this need. Hemang Jani, who came from World Bank at that point, with him and with PSA's office, we could implement STI for SDG. Dr. Saraswat, this issue of STI for SDG now has to be taken to the states, where states can bring in this dimension of STI for SDG. We heard Dharampalji mentioning about Chandigarh having solid waste management. I come from city of Indore, my home city is Indore, where we have handled this whole idea of solid waste management. It's an expensive technology, it's an expensive infrastructure support. The G20 presidency has talked about global public infrastructure, we have talked about global public goods. This is where role of NITI Aayog comes in to facilitate how capital push would come in for regional innovation system in the country. The states which are rich, where funds are large, budgets are huge, state is at the height of industrialization, manufacturing is good, ports are connected, it is easy for them. But several states are landlocked, they have huge infrastructure constraint. So this is my first point, that we need to bring that in. How STI for SDG is connected, how do we bring in this scientific social responsibility? And it's not much. If you see goal 2, where nutrition part is concerned, there are productions happening. Shri Anna is already identified by Prime Minister, Agriculture Ministry is already looking into it. What else we can do to enhance nutritional profile, which can get implemented through the idea of ICDS and others? They all can improvise in terms of malnutrition, stunting that is happening. Even in goal 3, if you look at in the health sector, huge strides we have made in terms of public-private partnership, in terms of Ayushman Bharat, where little innovation transfers can help. We heard Dr. Manish mentioning about BAREC's role in bringing down the cost of most expensive gadgets, but state procurements do not encourage that. So how scientific achievements, accomplishments have been done, secretaries are here, Secretary DST is here, how do we encourage that in public procurement and amend GFR from that point of view? And this, I think, is important leadership that NITI Aayog can provide to Ministry of Finance in the upcoming budget. Dr. Saraswat, we can make this suggestion in terms of how we bring in BIRAC or other entity-led enterprises that have come up to qualify them for procurement. The third part comes in terms of making our policy more empirics based, more data oriented. For last 15 years, we have been trying, Dr. Karandikar, in terms of how we bring in change in science technology indicators. DST has the role to provide leadership to all the other science ministries on STI related indicators, which are reflective of R&D share in GDP. But that's a very, I would say, preliminary indicator. But we have yet to factor in private sector. We yet to have to factor in many other entities who are out of that purview. But there are many more robust indicators which OECD's STI framework has come up with. We need to see how access, equity, inclusion, AEI, can be addressed through STI. So STI, SDG, and AEI, these three are interrelated, interdependent, intertwined if economic growth has to become inclusive and backed by science, technology, innovation. Last point that I want to mention is more in terms of what NITI Aayog has already done, is in terms of identifying the innovation indicators. But my point is that we need to go further and see how the Atal tinkering labs that were mentioned in the previous session and many other initiatives of the government can come on the same page for higher education, for school education. Thank you.
Your perspectives have added significant value to our discussions today, and we truly appreciate your time and wisdom. Now, I am honored to invite Dr. Rajiv Bahl, Secretary, Department of Health Research, for his insightful valedictory address.
Respected Dr. Saraswat, Dr. Mohanty, Dr. Karandikar, my colleague from RIS, all the friends, I will talk a little bit about the health innovations and how ICMR or DHR is playing some role in those areas where we believe that there are some valleys of death for getting these innovations to actually see the light of their use in programs. So the few things that I want to highlight very, very briefly, maybe just in one point on each, is A, defining the need from a public health perspective so that we can have more targeted and more focused innovation. So that's a role that the Department of Health Research can play and will be playing in this system. The second is encouraging co-development. Many of the centers of excellence that have been put up by the Indian Council of Medical Research bring together medical, dental, other institutions together with our technology institutions and startups so that there can be co-development and immersion in one another before people start developing products that may or may not actually be of use. Thirdly, we've seen that a lot of innovations, particularly the ones that are more, that require more clinical type of evaluation, end up in a situation where there is those innovators don't know what to do with these innovations once they are going for, let's say, DCGI or CDSCO approval. And that regulatory pathway of getting the preclinical evaluation as well as clinical trials and clinical evaluations is a big sink for a lot of the startups whose pockets are not very deep, who cannot engage CROs and cannot engage legal regulatory bodies or regulatory groups. So what ICMR is providing in that sense now is trying to open all our labs of ICMR plus institutions like a newly created National Animal Resource Facility, which has from mouse to non-human primates every single type of animal that is required for preclinical evaluations, as well as several networks of phase 1 clinical trial network or phase 2-3 clinical trial networks, in which we would like to make sure that a lot of these innovations that have promise are connected so that they are approved. Finally, we talked about procurement, and there at the Department of Health Research, a health technology assessment board has been established as a full office, and it does cost effectiveness evaluations. And this is currently all done in response to the demands that we get from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, either at the central level or from the states, to say what should they buy? Does it have value in terms of what benefits or effects it has versus the costs, and how to compare those options. So this HTA is going to be again expanded largely, very much so, with also the possibility of the innovators and the industry asking for such health technology assessment, which will make them more ripe for the procurement processes, etc. So I'll just stop there. And lastly, I wanted to also mention the entrepreneurship policy that ICMR has already developed, and now many institutions like All India Institute of Medical Sciences is now adapting and using for itself, which will make what usually is maybe very common in IITs, but not so common in the medical colleges, nursing colleges, dental colleges, paramedical institutes in India, is for them to also become engaged in innovation and work very closely with the industry. So with those words, I would like to thank you. I attended a couple of sessions. It was very nice, sir, very interesting interactions and panels. I also am very sorry I will have to take your leave as I have a meeting that starts at 6 o'clock, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We are privileged to have you share your invaluable thoughts with us. Your insights into the domain of innovation have truly added depth to today's discussion. Next, we have Dr. Ajit Kumar Mohanty, Secretary, Department of Atomic Energy, to share his reflections on our discussions today.
Good afternoon to all of you. Dr. Saraswat, Dr. Chaturvedi, Dr. Karandikar, and Dr. Bahl, who left it. I have to also leave immediately because I have to catch a flight. I represent Department of Atomic Energy. We have about 29 institutes under the department. We do basic research and transnational research. And we have institute like Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, which is engaged in basic research, and Bhabha Atomic Research Center, which is involved in translational research, where we believe that it should go from land to lab to land, and that is what is happening. We have a Nuclear Power Corporation, which produces nuclear power. Today we have nearly 7.7 gigawatt of power, and we believe to achieve 22 gigawatt by 2030. In fact, recently that COP28 announced that majority of the country is promising triple their nuclear power by 2030, and we will be much ahead of that with time coming. So what I am going to tell here, a little bit specific to the activities of Department of Atomic Energy, how it is full of innovation And some of these innovations can be translation to the people, either in the state or the nation or society at large, which is happening, and it will happen in a bigger way. See, when I was the director of Bhabha Atomic Research Center, people quite often confuse and tell we are a nuclear bomb scientist. But I try to tell them, other than nuclear bomb, we do everything else. And that is our identity is. And some of the panelists before lunch told that today what is happening, there is a barrier to the innovation, and one of the reasons could be that asymmetric knowledge or information. What I mean to say, India as a whole, we are full of knowledge. In fact, if you see our department, in 1974 we do peaceful nuclear explosion. Since then, we are under embargo. We are working in a denial of technology from everywhere. But then today, we are self-sufficient. We are going to complete 50 years of our Pokhran bust, smiling Buddha. And you see that no technology is given to us. We develop from the scratch. It's full of innovation, maybe sometimes reverse engineering. But reverse engineering is also innovation. It is not that it comes automatically. And if you see that today, it is the only department I can say proudly, since nobody gives us, we are complete in all respect. Since 74, we are Atmanirbhar, self-reliant. And today we say make in India. What do we call it? Make in India. We are making in India only, nowhere else. But then there is a lack of information. And one example I give very recently, I happened chance to meet Chief Minister of Maharashtra. I met the top officials of Maharashtra. They are talking about a Samruddhi Mahamarg. It is a road going from Bombay to Nagpur. And across this Mahamarg, they will be having food parks, radiation parks. And one of the gentlemen told me, we have a strong collaboration in Russia, getting the seeds. I asked, what seeds you are talking about and why you are having collaboration with Russia? So he told that we want to have some radiation source by which we will be irradiating the food products and we want to preserve them. I asked, are you talking about cobalt-60? He said, yes. But then he probably unaware that BRC is the largest, or DA is the largest producer of cobalt-60, and we are exporting to the other country. Even Russia also expressed intention to take cobalt-60 from us. And this is the lack of information. And you cannot believe, I explained to him that onion, potatoes, and many things, you know, in Maharashtra, onion is a commodity of, it can change the politics. And if onion, harvest season, it is 6 rupees. And so much onions, if you don't store properly, you will get 80 rupees now. And 40% of the onion gets spoiled after the harvest. And water loss is there even though you store it in a cold storage. We have developed the technology. It is not a very high profile technology, but just simply using the radiation technology, gamma radiation. Some of the unuseful pathogens can kill if you put some dose of radiation. Like as good as X-rays, not we take X-rays, but radiation dose could be even comparable to that or less than that. But then when the pathogen gets killed, put in the cold storage. Shelf life increased to 8 months. And suppose during the harvest season, you don't sell anybody, irradiate, put in the cold storage, and we have done this experiment as a prototype experiment in Lasalgaon using the irradiator. 1,000 tons of onions we have collected in collaboration with the Consumer Affairs Department, and it will be released anytime now. It is brand new. You cannot make out it is harvested now or 8 months before. And now price is 80 rupees, 70 rupees. And this we want to demonstrate to the people, farmers, bringing them, look, this is how the technology or SOP, if you develop from radiation, you will be benefited. This is the innovation in a small scale in the nuclear agriculture sector. Similarly, Dr. Diwan told about food preservation, seed, climate region. Nuclear agriculture, by radiation mutation, we have developed 60 seeds, and it has been released to the various parts of the states. But state has to adopt because seed is something, it is very typical to that region. And you have to do research on that seeds or vegetable or fruits, whatever, to choose the climate of that, and by which you can generate the vegetable or seeds or plants suitable, high yield, low height, so that it is suitable for the farmer. This is the nuclear agriculture. I do not know how many of you know that we are the largest producer of heavy water. We export. Water, you know, hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen has a brother called deuterium, 1 Newton extra. And that changes the property. And if you take deuterium, I do not know Indian people how much are aware, but Mark International buying deuterium for us and setting the plant in India, because there is a deuterated drugs can be produced for many purposes. And these plants are being set up in India. And we are the supplier of heavy water. And in heavy water, oxygen 18 content is higher than in the water. And we can enrich them also. We have set up this plant, oxygen 18 enrichment. And I do not know what I am talking about, whether you will appreciate. Oxygen 18, you must have heard of FDG, fluorodeoxyglucose. It contains fluorine 18. And FDG is minimum essential to do a PET scan in any hospital. Wherever you go today, there is a cyclotron, they use a proton on oxygen 18, it becomes fluorine 18, and that is used as a FDG for PET scanning. Fluorine 18 is a beta plus emitter, and then it does the emitting. This is the science I am not talking about, but this is the minimum requirement. But today in our country, we are importing oxygen 18. But very few will be knowing that we can make oxygen 18 in country. We can give heavy water, you enrich it, we have a technology, and you can be a global supplier, fulfilling the requirement of the country. These are the technology. We are talking about hydrogen today, that we should talk green hydrogen, green energy. But how many of you know that this technology is available with the Department of Atomic Energy? Alkali electrolyzer, we did 20 years back for defense, because if you go to the submarine, you need oxygen to breathe. And this is the electrolyzer, alkali electrolyzer. Don't take oxygen, the counterproduct is hydrogen. And we are buying this technology from abroad for hydrogen electrolyzer. But we can develop today. And in fact, we are developing under incubation center. We are transferring to the people. We are going to 10 meter cube, now 120 meter cube, now BPCL, HPCL has come to scale up till further. And it can provide import substitute. And going further, water electrolysis is definitely the best, but what about the steam electrolysis? These innovations can be very well adopted in states, national labs. Instead of electrolyzing the water, let us do the steam. Then you have to produce the steam. Because steam electrolysis to hydrogen is more efficient than the water. But then how do you produce steam? To produce the steam, you need a green energy also, nuclear, reactors. Reactors, don't put the reactor's energy into the grid. Use the steam itself and produce the hydrogen. So I call it is not the green hydrogen, I call it nuclear hydrogen. Completely carbon CO2 free. And we can develop those things. Chemical cycle now, another way of hydrogen production is, those who know iodine sulfur cycle. It is an internal circle, nothing will be consumed, but hydrogen will be produced, only heat is required. 800 degree centigrade sulfuric acid has to be decomposed. And you need 800 degree centigrade temperature and use the steam of a nuclear reactor. Only nuclear reactor can give you steam up to 800,000 degree. These are the futures. We can work into these technology innovations. We need not worry about gigawatt reactors. I can have a micro reactor of 10 megawatt. Put in my kitchen garden tomorrow and I can produce hydrogen using that and supply to the entire village or the community. These are the technology going to come up. And these are the place for innovation. Not only department has to work, everybody can work. People, small entrepreneurs, MSME, everybody can work in these niche areas of which nobody would have thought by now. And this is what our spin-offs, our of course main mandate is producing nuclear power, but we work everywhere. We work in health, we work in water, we work in like all radiopharmaceutical what you are thinking about, it is produced in the reactors. And even we want, if there some private people come, take the products from us and they do their own business. One example I will give, ruthenium-1061 radiopharmaceutical. It is a beta emitter and it is used with an eye plug. Like there is a silver plug, deposit little bit ruthenium and people, it is treated for eye cancer treatment. And only supplied today is Germany. And one plug costs around 5 lakhs. But we have developed this technology in BRC. You don't get in nature this ruthenium, but in the nuclear reactor, if you take out the fuel, they have all fission fragments, and one of the fission fragment is ruthenium. And we have the technology how to separate it. And we have separated, and this ruthenium can be provided to any MSME. You make the plug, and we have made it and given 10-15 to the hospital like AIMS and Shankar Nethralaya, as good as the imported quality, and the cost you cannot believe 50,000, if you import it will be 5 lakhs. And like this, I can keep on speaking because the department technology, we have 200 very high-end technology. I am not telling smaller one. I will just end telling one because to do this technology, we want to incubation, we want to handle with the people, And this is where, thanks to the NITI Aayog, we have Atal Incubation Center for 5 of them. And recently, one of the incubation center in RR Cut, they have developed a additive manufacturing innovation with Lokesh Machine Limited of Hyderabad. And in this next exhibition in Hyderabad, AM Expo 2023, additive manufacturing, he has qualified, he now knows how to make this AM machines in additive manufacturing for 3D printing. I don't know how many of you know that 3D printing is a technology probably going to revolutionize any manufacturing industry now. Because we do sophisticated machining to manufacture anything, 3D object. But you imagine, make it a slice, small slice of micron size. And if you, each slice you take out, it is nothing but a 2D plane. And that can be manufactured using a laser and some powders of that material. In that powder, put the laser of that shape. It will take the shape, get melted, and it will be that 2D structure, and keep on adding. And any structure you can make, that is called 3D printing now. And that will be alternate to the big scale manufacturing. And this is RRCAT has developed long back, but this technology under Atal Incubation Center is transferred to Lokesh Machine, and he is probably going to manufacture in India. And cost will be 1/5 of the imported machine. And 3D machine is going to be, by the way, it is one of the future, I should say, in the manufacturing sector, it will be a workhorse. We need much more 3D printing in the country. And one company has adopted, I think many more should adopt it. Every state should have 3D additive manufacturing. And this is DI, and we can always provide. And there are many such things, and I will not speak much. But I only say that where is the gap area according to me. We have transferred many technology to the people. They are all young entrepreneurs, MSME. Probably they are not able to proceed further because Indian policy or government policy has to little bit change. Because even though they are able to manufacture, they cannot compete globally. Because their first product will be expensive. They will not be L1. So many people will reject them. This is where the policy change is required. If it is manufactured in India, where there is a priority that it should be bought from them only. Provided it is, we need not worry about the cost because they will be expensive to start with and we have to help them. Saraswat sir knows one stock example of magnets. We have transferred this technology to ocean rare earth. You know these magnets, permanent magnets, it is like a very important strategic material for the country. Any country which is having this strategic material is considered to be the more developed. Like magnet is one such area, you cannot find an area where magnet is not used. Today the fan is rotating, the coil uses magnets, electric car uses magnets. But then irony is that in spite of having raw materials in the country, in our department also, rare earth materials, Indian Rare Earth Limited, even demonstrating that we can produce from niobium, NDFEP magnets in the country, still we are not able to start this industry because we are not able to compete with China. Saraswat knows it. Any industry come forward, they say my product is expensive and Chinese market is cheaper. And something is to done how even though it is cheaper, can we buy from them and ban imports for at least 5 years. And that is this type of policy or drastic decision we have to take. Then many MSME or many innovation which we have, it will be flourishing. So two things. One is there should be knowledge flow, uniformity of knowledge flow from national labs, university, academia to the people and public at large. That will make them knowing what is happening. And once this innovation is taken place in the public sector, private sector, or with the small people, there should be a government policy to facilitate their product. And that is what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mohanty. Your technological reflections have been informative, inspiring, and quite engaging. I now extend an invitation to Dr. Abhay Karandikar, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, to provide his closing remarks.
Respected Dr. V.K. Saraswat, Dr. Mohanty, Dr. Chaturvedi, all the participants, distinguished guests. As was mentioned several times in the previous panel also, the Department of Science and Technology has been a key player in organizing, coordinating and promoting the scientific and technological activities across the country. We are running large number of national missions, R&D programs across the country in several central and state academic institutions in almost all areas. Department of Science and Technology also was one of the first ministries which actually started the concept of inculcating and promoting innovations in the country by setting up incubators in the country. We have set up almost 175 incubators across the country. And as you know that India recently has emerged as a very large ecosystem of startups with more than 100,000 startups in the country. And out of these 100,000 startups, more than 25,000 startups have been directly funded by DST either through their incubator or through, our programs such as NITI or NITI Prayas or entrepreneurship in residence and so on. We have several national mission mode programs. We have a national mission program on cyber physical systems, and under this program we have set up 25 mission hubs across the country, and they are almost in all states. We will be launching a national quantum mission soon. And finally, as all of you know, that we have now are in the process of setting up Anusandhan National Research Foundation, whose objective is really to seed the research activities across all academic institutions and research labs in the country. Now, coming to the today's topic of improving the innovation aptitude of the state, I would say that while we have been, the DST has been funding large R&D programs. We had also had special programs catering to underserved states, particularly the programs for improving the R&D infrastructure in state universities and colleges. The progress has been, I should say that, less than satisfactory. And often there has been a criticism that much of the funding of the DST has been going to academic institutions like IITs and IIITs and NITs and central universities. Now, in this context, I would really urge the state government and state participants here that we would be really happy to create a robust R&D infrastructure in state universities, provided the state government is willing to partner with the DST by putting in some amount of funding, including improving the basic infrastructure in some of the states. Because while we can fund the R&D programs, we also need an appetite from the university and the colleges side to absorb the funds and translate it into a meaningful outcomes and outputs. And really speaking, we would look forward to state government's help. And this is particularly relevant in the context of Anusandhan National Research Foundation because as you know, that the NRF has come out of one of the major recommendations of the National Education Policy, where we would like to create a culture of research in our Tier 2 and Tier 3 institutions as well, competing at, with the best in the country and also overall improving the research and innovation ecosystems in the country. Now, in this context, although we have not fully operationalized, but we would be creating programs where the Tier 2 and Tier 3 institutions of the state can partner as spokespartners with the Tier 1 institutions of the hub, where we can set up the R&D centers of excellence through the NRF, and I think we will be rolling out some programs soon in this direction. The DST will also be operationalizing the National Quantum Mission, and as you know that while the entire objectives of the National Quantum Mission is to focus R&D in the area of quantum computing, quantum communications, quantum sensing and metrology, materials and devices, etc., etc. But it is very likely that the quantum computers may be deployed in large numbers in varieties of applications, maybe in the next 5 years or in next 6-7 years, and at that point of time we really need a large workforce who are skilled in programming on the quantum computers. While the R&D agenda we will carry out by setting up the mission hubs in the R&D infrastructure, we really need to create workforce and capacity building in the area of quantum computing, and this needs to be really started in almost all state engineering colleges of the country. In fact, I am happy to state here that Maharashtra government has already approached us that they would really like to partner with the DST for creating some programs in quantum computing programming in their top engineering colleges in the country, and we would be really happy to support that as a part of the quantum mission. We can of course replicate this in other states provided the state governments are willing to invest a part of improving the R&D infrastructure in their colleges in the states. In terms of the incubation program, while we have set up several incubators in the academic institutions, the Department of Science and Technology is also setting up now centers of excellence and incubation programs which can actually help nurturing the talents of particular regions and the states and contribute to the local economy by taking advantage of the local expertise that is available. Many of our deep tech incubators, of course, have been focusing on the deep tech startups, but we are also interested in setting up incubators which can actually help in nurturing and contributing towards the local economy as well. Finally, I would say that there was a mention of course, there was a question on the State S&T Council. The Department of Science and Technology has been actually funding the state S&T councils, almost 29 S&T councils we have been regularly funding. But I believe that we can actually do much more in terms of harnessing the potentials of these state S&T councils than what is really done today. Finally, we have an R&D programs in areas such as clean energy, hydrogen, climate change, and so on. I would really also urge the state governments to focus on some of the new age technologies such as artificial intelligence, particularly the applications of AI in sectors such as healthcare, agriculture, transportations, etc. And many of our incubators and mission hubs which have been set up under the cyber physical systems have done a significant R&D works, and as Dr. Mohanty also mentioned, that many of, and in fact Dr. Mohanty has given a laundry list of innovations that had come out of the nuclear energy programs which are directly relevant to the society. In the same manner, the mission hubs and incubators which have been supported directly by the DST have innovations and programs which can be relevant to the society, but somehow the lack of coordinations and connecting with the local state governments can be improved in order to make that impact. Thank you very much for making me a part of this session. We from the ministry side are committed to providing a continuous support to the state governments in terms of policies, handholdings, funding and strategic guidance so that collectively we can make our country a global S&T leader with a vibrant innovation ecosystem. Thank you very much.
I extend a heartfelt thanks to you, sir, for your thought-provoking words. Your emphasis on the pivotal role of science, technology and innovation in shaping India's future has left a lasting impact. Finally, we have the privilege of welcoming Dr. V.K. Saraswat, Honorable Member, NITI Aayog, to deliver the concluding valedictory address.
So very good evening, friends. Dr. Karandikar, Dr. Mohanty, Dr. Chaturvedi, I see Chintan, very nice to see you here in the last session, and all the participants. Very happy at even 6:15, we have good percentage of the people attending this. That shows the interest in innovation and the innovation ecosystem, what the country needs. We have had excellent discussion since morning. Almost every possible point that affects the innovation ecosystem policy framework has been discussed by various speakers, panelists, and so on. So I won't take the trouble of now repeating all that. But basically, I would like to flag on 2-3 issues. Issue number one, all of us know that innovation, one of the barriers has been the finance. It is not today. It has been there for many decades. But today the ecosystem has improved considerably with programs which I mentioned in the morning in my inaugural. I won't repeat again. There is a significant improvement. But the distribution of the financing system has to be properly articulated. If you look at some of the foreign countries, they have a very clear definition. They say that if the basic research has to be done, it has to be 100% funded by the government institutions. If the translational research has to be done, it could be only 10% funding by the private and 90% funding by the government institutions. And if you follow the innovation cycle, as I was mentioning to you, once you go into proof of concept and get into the cycle of repeating the experiments and then establishing the proof of concept to a scale and passing the valley of death, as I mentioned in the morning, this is one area where there is, as on today, a vacuum. There is nobody really actually supporting in the present system this particular segment of innovation cycle. Then comes that if you succeeded and come out of that, you go into the commercialization, scale up and then commercialization. Again, scale up is a major problem. In the foreign countries, this scale up and commercialization and partly the passing through the valley of death is being supported by the private sector and the government sector jointly. Commercialization, most of the time it is about 100% supported by the private sector. Now this is the kind of a breakup which is there, and I personally believe that it is not a bad distribution, and the state governments would like to follow that. Even the central governments can also look at how we can do that. If you look at the gap what we have in the funding today is in the sector of scale up. Dr. Mohanty mentioned large number of innovations which have been done in the atomic energy sector. Similarly, ICCSI laboratories which have done. The DST has been supporting all the science and technology projects through their programs which are going up to TRL 3, TRL 4 levels. The problem comes that they are not able to go into the market and hence they are not able to complete the innovation cycle. For that, what is important that there is a requirement for us to have some provision for supporting the scaling up process. from prototype to scaling the process. I'll give you a few examples just now. Example number one, when I started in NITI Aayog, the coal to methanol program, DST was very happy to support that. I got 70 crores rupees, which was one of the probably highest DST given to any institution so far. And that was used by industry and academia together, first time, to set up a particular pilot plant for almost producing 1 ton per day of methanol using high ash content coal, and this is a breakthrough in technology as far as India is concerned. But now when it comes down to taking it to something like 100 tons per day scale up, there is nobody coming up with that kind of money. And if you don't do that, tomorrow when the 4 gasification plants are being set up in the country, those plants are going to be set up by the foreign technology, which is going to come at cost, which is going to be prohibitively high, because the cost of even this 1 ton plant is much, much lower than what the foreign countries will be asking for. Now, this is a gap which we are all looking at. So, if we really want to strengthen our innovation ecosystem, bring it to the market, all the products which have been done by atomic energy or done by CSIR or this thing, there has to be a very, very strong funding mechanism, and that should be 50% should come from the academia, sorry, from the government, and 50% should come from the private institutions. That is the kind of thing that has to be done. If we can make that, that becomes a major thing. So, scale up is important if we want to see the light of the day as far as innovation in India is concerned. Second portion is, this point came out in the morning also. Procurement. Most of the people say we have innovated, but nobody is buying my product. Mainly because, number one, scale up is not done. Number two, cost competitiveness is not there because of the scale at which it is being produced. Number three, it is one of its kind, so it is not possible. Number four, it is not having the same standards as the international products are having. So these are the reasons which are responsible for this not going to be happening. But wherever even such successes have been obtained, for example, what Dr. Mohanty mentioned, they have made a Linec, they have made a MRI equipment, they have made many magnets and all those things what they have made. They are to the world standard. But only problem today is the cost, because they are being manufactured in small quantities. Now this is where we need that our public procurement policy should be such that at least the government purchases which are being made today. Somebody gave the example of mixie. If the particular government wants to distribute mixies as a free supply to all the people below the poverty line or whatever that, I think that kind of a purchase should be mandated from the innovations which have taken place in the country. And whether it is an innovation done by the central government or the state government, there should be uniform law that this is an Indian product. If you want to now sell, procure in a public mode, it should be that product only. That should be innovation. And such of those products which are available competitively from outside, we should add some duties so that we make sure that our Indian innovative products are in the market. Then only the innovation cycle will pick up. So this is another problem. Third one is, we have the major problem of have our love and affection for import. I'll give you multiple examples. CDEC has developed this server using the money from DST and MITI together today. These servers can be readily made use of for making the data centers in the country. But we are very happy to go to China and get the servers on Lenovo or whatever that, this, that, and all those companies, and we are not ready to take what is done. And now, by the way, it is being done at a scale today. A company in Ghaziabad or Gurgaon, VVDN, is manufacturing these servers today based on technology which has been developed indigenously by CDEC, which is a 833 megapixel system. This is what is happening today. Similar thing happened in the case of telecom equipment. Tejas developed many routers. IIT Bombay developed a terahertz router. Gumashte has done that. That has not seen the light of the day because, again, love for the imported routers. Cisco routers are being taken, but Gumashte's router is not being taken because, again, scale. And second thing is, there is no duty restriction on that. And because it is number one, so nobody is ready to buy. Now, these are the impediments, these are the barriers for bringing innovation, despite the fact that the good brains of India are able to do that innovation and bring those products into the market. These are some of the points which I thought I will highlight. Now, I would like to give some advice to the state governments. While many things have been given, the state governments, we have been doing interaction with the state universities in the last about 6 to 8 months. We have done with the northern region, eastern region, the western region, and so on. Our general impressions are that the funding of the state universities as far as the S&T, R&D is concerned is abysmally low. And that is one reason. Dr. Karandikar talked about appetite. I am saying the same thing. Even if we give you some money from the DST or DBT or someplace, I don't think they have the right ecosystem to absorb that money. So, important thing is to create certain major changes in terms of bringing the R&D culture as far as the state universities are concerned, which involves some factors which are directly related to the to what is called the states should transform to innovation-driven states. And I think that lady has gone from Karnataka. She gave fantastic examples of how the policy framework, the ecosystem can actually lead to an innovation economy. What we need to do is, we need to have a strategic shift in positioning and branding. Particularly, we should have branding for factor-driven economy, in which we should ensure ease of doing business, incentives on land, labor, infrastructure, economic climate, governance, and political stability. These should be happening. Another one is desired position and branding that should be there, again for the innovation-driven economy, in which you should see how many R&D units you have set up. Tamil Nadu has set up so many R&D units. IIT Madras has got a research park. IIT Delhi has got a research park now. IIT Kharagpur has a research park. How many states are in a position to get such institutions, center of excellences and things like that, design centers, IP facilitation units, entrepreneurship development programs and so on. Angel investors and venture capitalists, how many they are able to generate, that becomes the branding that you should be able to provide in your state. Another one is prioritizing the innovation goals. You cannot remain without prioritizing. You should see how much is the academic excellence. I mentioned about the universities. The academic excellence is a major problem there. You will find that while the number of posts in a university are about 300, only 60 are the permanent teachers, the remaining 200 and odd are the temporary teachers coming every day. Now, how do you think the research will take place in an institution like that? Unless you change that kind of a scenario, you will not be able to get quality. Same thing is, what is the R&D and the design intensity? One point which I mentioned, which I forgot to mention in the morning, innovation without design thinking is not feasible. Design thinking is an integral part of innovation. So, design intensity is very important, and that means how much is the investment on R&D, institutional excellence, that has to be important. What is the IPR ecosystem? I think enough was talked about it in the morning. We have to have a strong IP system. Startup ecosystem, like many institutions like Hyderabad has done. IIIT Hyderabad has got an IT hub. Karnataka has got many such centers. So, these are the things like, why it happened? Because they have provided ease of doing business. Somebody was telling, matching whatever is being offered by other state. Some example was given. That is the kind of thing we have to have. And you have to have a vibrant MSME sector, where you have to support the MSME for digital technology penetration and incentivize them. Last part for the states should be that innovation in policy. You have to have a mandate public funded R&D institution located in the state to come out with solutions for the state problems. You should identify state problems to them and they should find the reason. Provide 50% R&D design demonstration costs to the industry for developing new technology solutions at the state. 50% you should provide. Provide performance-based funding to public funded R&D and academic institutions. Provide guarantee to the financial institution and banks to consider granted patent and design as collaterals. Allocate about 50% public procurement of new products, which is I mentioned to you. Not only 50%, initially you should do 100%. You should give a moratorium that if a product of innovation is available, for 5 years we will buy that. After 5 years we will leave it for competition. But let us give him a holiday that for 5 years the imported product will be subject to duty and things like that. So if the if the public sector, the state governments have to really make a headway, they have to do branding, they have to do a policy framework, they have to bring an ecosystem, they have to improve the quality of education, they have to improve the capacity, they have to improve the capability, and more than that, you have to institutionalize the innovation. You cannot leave it as a free body. It has to be institutionalized but not bureaucratized. It has to be only institutionalized, put it in a framework with ease of doing business, ensuring that anybody who has got an idea should be able to experiment and show it to you that it's a possible economic solution. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Our earnest gratitude to you. Your vision for the future of science, technology, and of course innovation in India has provided a fitting conclusion to our discussions. I now request Dr. Neeraj Sinha to kindly felicitate the dignitaries. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the culmination of this enriching workshop, I urge each of you to reflect upon the wisdom and insights generously shared by our esteemed dignitaries. Their contributions have undoubtedly added immense value to our collective understanding of innovation and its role in shaping India's future. To express our gratitude and formally conclude this event, I am honored to invite Dr. Ashok Sonkusre, Deputy Advisor, NITI Aayog, to deliver the vote of thanks. Dr. Sonkusre has been an integral part of the organizing team, and we look forward to his words of appreciation and acknowledgement.
So, good evening, everyone. It was indeed a long but very productive day. We listened to all our thought leaders throughout the day and charged up with their provoking and encouraging word. So it is my duty and honor to express a vote of thanks to each one of them. I will take only 3-4 minutes of yours. After that, there will be a high tea. First of all, let me express my gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chairman NITI Aayog, Sri Suman Beriji, for sparing his valuable time to grace the occasion and encourage us to innovate for domestic challenges. It is my privilege to thank Honorable Members SNT, NITI Aayog, Dr. V.K. Saraswat sir, for his motivating remarks and useful suggestions for strengthening the innovation ecosystem in the country. Thank you very much, sir. I take this opportunity to thank CEO NITI Aayog, Sri B.R. Subramaniamji, although he was not able to grace the occasion because of the important engagement, but he is the person who is driving force behind the NITI State Workshop Series under the State Support Mission and also guiding us for taking the India's innovation to the next level. I am very, very I am very, very thankful to Dr. Ravi Chandran, Secretary, Ministry of Earth Science, who was in the inaugural session, for his special address on blue economy, which is to be implemented in close collaboration with all the state government. On behalf of NITI Aayog, I would like to express a big thank you to all the chairpersons of the sessions, especially Dr. Arvind Biramani sir, Member Environment Forest NITI Aayog, Professor Ajay Sood sir, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, Ms. Devajani Ghosh, President NASSCOM, and Sri Chinoy, Chairman Bharat Web3 Association, Dr. Sabir Kamath, Secretary Defense R&D, and Dr. Sachin Chaturvedi, Director General Research and Innovation System for Developing Countries, for taking out time from their busy schedule and grace us for their provoking thoughts. My special thanks to all the esteemed panelists, especially Dr. Rajiv Bahl, Secretary, Department of Health Research, Dr. Ajit Mohanty sir, Secretary, Department of Atomic Energy, Dr. Abhay Karandikar sir, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, for enlightening us with their efforts in the innovation space and encourage us to be more innovative in their approach. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to thank all the delegates from state and UTs who actively participate in the workshop ready to take up the responsibility to improve the innovative capability and capacity in their state and UTs. This will be finally lead to raising India's position in the Global Innovation Index. I will not forget to thank Senior Advisor SNT NITI Aayog Dr. Neeraj Chinna sir for his leadership role in the organizing this workshop. I must also acknowledge and thank the efforts of team of SNT Vertical, especially Ms. Naba Surur, Dr. Amit Kapoor, Chair Professor, Institute of Competitiveness, and his team, State Support Mission, Protocol Section of the NITI Aayog, Event Management Team of ITDC, Catering Team of Taj, and team of All India Radio for their continuous support, without which it would not be possible to organize this event. Once again, I thank you all for being here and making this workshop a great success. Looking forward for your continuous support to make India among the top 25 in near future. Thank you very much, sir.